Hello everyone, welcome back. In case you're not in the loop, this is a follow-up to my recent EDF 4.1 video with Enigma, links if you haven't already seen it. But for this video, we will be covering something I feel needs a bit of elaboration, that being the basics on how to play Wing Diver.
Certain assets.
I want to emphasize that this is very basic, and to anyone with a decent amount of gaming understanding under their belt, this may sound like me explaining how to breathe, but everyone starts somewhere, and this is all in good fun. With that said, despite how it may look on the surface, this is the one class that manages to strike the balance of looking far easier than it actually is. Ranger and Air Raider can be played by brain-dead morons and still clear missions with ease. Fencer completely changes the controls and is very hard for new players to pick up. Wing Diver looks very simple. You get a jetpack and lasers, how hard could it be? Well, the answer is simple. Shit. So we will start from the very basics. There are two things that set Wing Diver apart from the other three classes. The first is that you are extremely squishy.
Ooh, that's kind of small. Yikes.
A few good hits and you are either bug food or red paste. So you will generally want to avoid that. The second is generally the more notable part of the class, other than the cleavage, which would be the jetpack. But it's not really a jetpack. If you use it like one, you'll run out of ammo very quickly and die. Painfully. So let's go over how to not do that. One of the first things you'll notice while playing Wing Diver is that unlike every other class, reloading and movement are a shared resource. Your generator, located here, is the source of your ability to deal damage and also avoid eating shit. Balancing this resource is the key skill that will keep you alive as a Wing Diver. Overdraw the generator and you become a sitting duck. In normal circumstances, the full recharge time is about 18 seconds from empty, but if the generator turns red and starts beeping, that time is cut in half. Your weapon reload takes a percentage of this energy reserve, with some weapons taking more than others. This is either triggered when the weapon is empty or on a manual reload. Leaving one shot in the chamber can save you a lot of headache when managing suit energy, so don't discount it as a strategy. However, single shot weapons should be used with some caution. Reloading at the wrong time will get you bitten in half due to how squishy you are, so managing your ammo is key. The best time to perform a manual reload is when you are out of direct combat, either atop a structure, behind cover, or just physically distant from combat. But do not lose track of where that fighting is, because it'll either sneak up on you or get so far away that it'll cost a hell of a lot more to get back into it. Power is limited, spend it wisely. Got all that? Good. Now that we have the basics down, we'll break down the general playstyles that Wing Diver can fall into. These can be mixed and matched depending on gear and your own skill and confidence, so don't take this as definitive. The three playstyles generally split themselves by range, and also by power balance. The closer you are to the enemy, the more you'll be spending on movement. Further away, you'll need more power for the guns. For the sake of simplicity, we'll call these Brawler Diver, Sniper Diver, and Roamer Diver. Brawler Diver is pretty simple. You get up in the enemy's face and deal damage. Most of your energy will be spent on movement, getting in close to deal damage and backing off to reload before going back in. Your best friends here will be the rapiers, laser guns, particle cannons, and maybe the mid-range electroshock weapons. One of my personal favourites for this role is the laser chainsaw, especially useful for strafing hordes or flying swarms. These often have larger internal batteries or even their own generators independent of your main one,
infinite ammo,
which will allow you to stay in combat range for longer without leaving yourself open to getting hit or grabbed. The main drawback to this playstyle is that you need to be very good at dodging. Or grind missions to get enough raw bulk to absorb hits.
That's quite big. Impressive.
This class is easy to grind with, but it'll take quite a while to do so this can work if you're willing to put the time in, but don't neglect your movement skills. If the idea of playing up close and personal sounds like your idea of fun, this might be your preferred playstyle. On the opposite extreme, you have the Sniper Diver. This playstyle trades most of the mobility for firepower, often using the jetpack as more of a means to gain height advantage or to take extreme distance shots. From this, you will want to take the sniper weapons, range weapons, or even homing weapons if you have a friendly air raider on your side. With a full team, you can double down on heavy ordnance, but if you're playing with only one teammate, I'd suggest carrying something that you can use as a good get-off-me tool. Considering the amount of precision and heavy ordnance that a wing diver can access by even the start of the mid-game, this is a viable strategy to support your team. Picking off key targets or launching colossal balls of plasma to clear out swarms will take a lot of your energy, so pick your positions wisely. The Roma playstyle is somewhat in the middle, and by its nature is meant to be more flexible than the other two. Often the playstyle or solo or paired players, the Roma will often bounce between ranges as the fight demands, which will average out to around mid-range over the course of any one mission. Due to this somewhat broader range of play, there are a lot more weapons that could fit into this playstyle, so I'll just recommend the ones to avoid. Those would be the short range, sniper, and homing weapons, as they either can't reach targets or require too much of a commitment to get good use out of. The downside of this playstyle is the almost complete lack of specialised tools, as you only have 2 weapon slots to deal with whatever scenario the game throws at you. That said, the Roma playstyle can make a lot of the quirkiest weapons completely non-viable, which might be a complete and understandable deal breaker for some players. If you're playing alone or just prefer a more flexible way to play, the Roma life will give you the freedom to go your own way. Still with me here? Good. To finish off, we'll go over a few best practices for navigating the battlefield effectively. If you're already familiar with a lot of games, this will sound a bit like explaining that the sky is blue, but it's worth stating for the record. Bunny hopping. While not strictly the same technique as you'd find in games descended from the Quake engine, the general idea is very much the same. Using the jetpack, you can speed up your movement with short hops along the ground to overcome the slow walking speed. If you've done a bit of flying already or paid attention to some of the footage you may be seeing, you may have noticed that landing isn't an immediate stop, but more of a slow roll for about half a second. Once you let go of the jump, the generator immediately starts to charge, so using small jumps to speed up effectively takes 0 energy or even restores a little bit between uses, much faster than walking. Strafing. Okay, I'm not talking about moving side to side, though that can be a part of it. I mean more strafing in an older military sense. Much like an aircraft attacking the ground, wing divers can do the same flying over a large group of enemies.
Get strafed, bitch.
Since descent is always at the same speed, short bursts in the air can keep you at a consistent height to track targets on the ground. You can do this moving in any direction, so experiment and figure out what you're most comfortable with. Most weapons with no charge up or continuous fire work best for attacks like this. Bombing. Similar to strafing, we have bombing. If you've played a lot of older SPS titles, especially Team Fortress 2, this will feel very familiar to you. Using the jetpack to jump above the ground, fire 1 or more shots near the top of the jump before landing. You can use this to initiate a close range fight with some space ready made for you, or as a way to hit targets from behind cover without overly exposing yourself to a much larger threat. Though you can technically do this with any weapon, I'd recommend something that shoots fast and has a decent spread or an explosive splash. Final thoughts. As I said at the start, this is more of a collection of basic info on how to play. This is far from the deepest you can go with this class, or even the entire game for that matter. I hope that you find these few basic pointers useful in this great game, and that you either enjoyed or can forgive the amount of arse in the footage. Sometimes a Japanese game just gonna be like that. If you liked what you saw, push all the YouTube happy buttons and check out some of the other stuff I've made, and I will hopefully see you next time.